and welcome in my another video. Today we're gonna talk about my league starting build and basically how did I pick it, right? So in the background we can see like my previous league starter, it was a poisonous concoction at this point. Later I transited into BVBB. It was a max roll GG guide. I just wanted to test it out. I thought, well, it's a clever idea. You don't have a weapon, maybe it will be strong, and then I hoped we can clear ravaged maps with it. Unfortunately, it was not that easy and not that smooth as I expected. This build did not have enough single target damage. I really don't recommend you going this build if you like doing ravaged blight maps, although Arch Nemesis mods have been changed and we should not get as many both chaos and fire resistant monsters, which are really a trouble for this build in Ravaged, since your main damage come from either burning ground / meteor tower or your chaos damage, right? In the past league there were too many bosses with those mods, and combined with epidemiology and increased HP, they were basically immune. So I had those games where I was just sitting 2 minutes hitting a boss with this build, right? But early on, doing normal blights, it was okay, although a lot of damage come from Plague Bearer. It's a rather close range skill, so it just was not good, right? But it was what it was. You cannot change what you league start with. I did not test that build before because I like to have fun and maybe overcome some challenges, etc. Right? So anyway, don't start with this build. And the build that let's say is optimal needs to be ranged, right? Because you cannot leave the pump. Because how the game works is that if you are too far away from your towers, they just stop working, right? There is no AI behind it, and the monsters just go forward. So if you just roam too much and you leave your, let's say, pump and the range of your towers, you'll just fail maps, right? Especially early on when let's say it's pretty crucial, right? So like in here I'm building a crossroad, and if you will go too far away to kill a boss or something or build towers on the other part, this crossroad will no longer stun lock enemies. So yeah, this is not really optimal. Early on I like to build scout towers around, of course, whenever you have money, and if you use double amber oil as I suggested in last video, you will have almost infinite money. And for this reason, since let's say we really want to have time to build those towers and let them do the work early on, right? So our let's say character can be powerless. All we need to do is to build and to, let's say, to predict and maybe sometimes wait a little bit until more lines are deployed to see where the crossroads gonna be. Build a little stun lock setup like in here, and then build as many scout towers as you can, right? And together with increased damage anointments, those scout tower will take every boss, every single monster leaking, and that's perfect because in last league we had a lot of those mods that were immune to cold damage, so you couldn't freeze them, immune to stun, lowered, actually you had like increased resistances, which, let's say, reduce the effect of freeze or actually slow. So they were just leaking, right? There are some certain monster types on blighted maps that have, apart from Arch Nemesis mods, they have their own abilities. Like some monsters are, let's say, unable to stun or unable, you cannot slow them. So there are few, let's say, possible combinations that could cause monsters to ignore everything you've built. So the scout tower will simply kill them. And for normal blights, where HP of monsters is not that high, your build should have, for the most, be ranged. So your all towers are, let's say, always working when you, or at least you minimize the time when you are far away from them, and have a highest single target damage. And this is especially to get into early ravaged strategies, because on normal blights the scout towers will do, but on ravaged maps scout towers cannot deal with blighted bosses. They have 200% increased damage, HP, and if you use epidemiology it's 250, and they have also very high base damage plus some elemental damage reduction, which will also make them more tanky. So I'm going with EA Ballista Elementalist for three main reasons, right? So first of all, Elementalist has more damage than a champion. Explosive Arrow itself has a little single target damage potential. It has good clear, so the ignite, let's say, spread to other enemies, right? And with this you'll just kill, what I believe will happen is that you kill few monsters and then more monsters are getting ignite and they die, and you have some single target damage, so you will be able to deal with blighted bosses and later with ravaged blighted bosses, but we will see, right? So I aim to invest like 30 divines into this build, maybe 40, and then start saving for my let's say end game build. The main reason why I'm switching to this end game build is to, let's say, have easier time testing some strategies. Okay, just to showcase maybe a video how it works. Let me find the video. Alright, so this is a video where the build actually is let's say almost completed. It's non-crit version of phantasmal cremation. I will put all the links to POBs and build guides in the description, but it's not described on Maxroll, so don't search it there. I will maybe show you how I usually get my builds going on, so that's a maybe good example to talk about this builds, right? So the original build was posted by Griff on March, right? It evolved a little bit. I don't think he updates this build anymore, but that doesn't matter. It didn't change a lot, and in this league, again, you can just follow up last league pops. There were some changes to curses, but well, we will see what let's say best players do. I'm not pretending that that I'm some kind of pro builder or something. I just follow what other guys do, right? So what you should do is, of course, just filter PO Ninja and check few players, see whether they are, let's say, they're having more tanky version or bigger DPS, right? Never go for like the top DPS builds, because either they were super lucky with some crafting, or they invested a lot of currency, or those builds are, let's say, maybe tuned for a party play or something. So what I do is I rather pick like closer to average builds that are, let's say, it's more reasonable, it's easier to copy this build, and you just compare versions, check skill setup, check tree, right? You can see this tree in details here. There is also the heat map. I believe it was in the there is also a heat map that shows you different versions. Of course, some of those versions will be cheaper, some of those versions will be more expensive, so pay attention whether they have mage blood or not, because this can affect the damage, HP, etc. Right? So maybe if you have mage blood, you can run with let's say so you can maybe with mage blood you can use lower HP builds, because they have some let's say constant effects running, etc. Right? So yeah, you should aim for the medium. So with phantasmal cremation, I will record maybe a second video explaining that build in details, how it works, but let's say in short, it just explodes monsters, right? So remember, we have 250% increased monsters' health, and that affects your corpses and let's say the monsters itself, right? So it makes blighted bosses disappear, and at very low cost, because this build is no longer meta. Outside of blighted maps, it's not performing well. It used to be a boss killer, but it was nerfed, and without this 250% HP, there are just better options, and let's say it's no longer meta build. And for me, that's perfect, because you can get those previously very expensive phantasmal and cremation, phantasmal unearth and cremation gems much cheaper, and some uniques are also cheaper, right? It is based on ashes of the stars, so maybe if you have some extra currency, if you will be lucky and drop something expensive, just buy it in the first week. It will get expensive till like third week, then the price will fall off. This would happen last week. So yeah, you might buy a, let's say, weak roll early on. It will be much cheaper, and then just use a divine or two and try to roll it higher. You can even profit like that by flipping those amulets. If you find a good roll early on, you might buy it. It will be worth way more like 2 weeks into the league. So yeah, I will record another video later this week when I will be switching to that build. But yeah, just have in mind that this is, let's say, a build that is basically dominating the content, and you can do whatever you want there, right? So I use this for finding the optimal oiling and for optimal strategies to see, let's say, how the changes that were not supposed to change anything in Blight, like changing the loot, changing arch nemesis mods, etc., how they affect blighted maps, how the new orb, for instance, will affect blighted maps, the jewelry changes, etc. So yeah, so that's my science, and that's where I let's say have most fun with. And for this reason, I do not seek to have like different builds doing the same job. Yeah, I don't mind. It's just you know, it's just a task for me. It's not really something that I enjoy, but yeah. I can play the same build every league, and I will still have a lot of fun, because, like I explained, the fun is somewhere else for me. So yeah, with this said, I don't want this video to be too long, and we have one more topic I'd like to cover. So it's a filter, and what you should be doing. All right, I cannot show this right now. So yeah, I will record another video about filter maybe today or tomorrow when this gets updated. But the short let's say description is that use level 3 filter for normal blights, and use level 4 for ravaged, and aim to get to level 5 ASAP, customize later. So it means that we will start with semi-strict level 3. You can always press Alt if you want to pick up. For the very first blights, I will just use level 2, I think, although it shouldn't, let's say, drop anything. But if your, let's say, if your stash is empty after a campaign, everything matters. Like, you know, a single transmute is, I don't know, can be sold for scrolls, right? So you have this vendor receipt, and you sell transmutes, get scrolls, sell scrolls, and you can profit of it. So you know, that's useful. And then I will be using level 3, and then as soon as I'm on red maps, like level 13, maybe giving up one amber oil, so going like crimson black or double teal amber, I don't know. We will see what's best, but then I will just jump to level 4, and when I'm doing ravaged, I will customize all the items I don't need. So for instance, you have a lot of chisels and you see their price is, let's say, already full, so you will just filter out chisels. So I will maybe make another video where I show this in practice when I get to ravaged, and explain you what items I filter, like divination cards, you know, some uniques, some jewelry. You know, there's a lot of stuff like crafting bases that are basically wasting your time, because the profit from ravaged maps comes from certain items. I explained this in my previous video. So this is basically over 50% of your income in only those 20 items that are all sellable in bulk. So there is certain logic to what should you pick, what should you waste your time on, what should you store in your stash tabs and sell, let's say, mass price it. So I will all explain it all after the league start, and yeah, I hope this will help you optimizing your time with blighted maps, having a good league start, and getting your currency early on, because I've heard a lot of people struggle with currency, or last league they struggled with currency. They complained that the economy is worse, it got nerfed, etc. But it was not true for me. I did okay, and just like I showed you in the in the day 1 video, at day 3 my stash tab was full, and I don't know, I did not have problem to upgrade my gear. I even dropped like Aurora Aegis, and I bought Ashes of the Stars early on. So yeah, when you do blighted maps, you will have all types of currency to do whatever, right? You will have essences to roll your gear, and you will have you know, fusing links to maybe roll for your 6 link. You can get lucky early on, so maybe try this. It's a steady, let's say, steady profit if you sell those, but you can risk. I don't know, it's up to you. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you will have a great league start. The next video I will cover is my first blighted map. After this I will maybe try to find a strategy that's optimal to run, like I don't know, tier 13 or 14 based on the costs, and then maybe talk about the changes and how I see this new league changes affecting blighted maps. So again, thanks for watching, and see you around. Bye.